Well, hey kids, Pastor Stetson here, and I'm here with another great object lesson to talk about the book of James. So if you haven't noticed or you're learning now, this month we've been talking about James. James is the half-brother of Jesus, and he's writing this letter to Christians who are fleeing persecution. And it's a beautiful letter full of great things. And one of the things he talks about in chapter 3, which is what we're talking about this week, is one thing, a very small part of your actual body. He's talking about your tongue. Can you understand what I'm saying? He's talking about our tongues. And the importance of it, because what we realize is all of our speech comes to our tongues. But really, our tongue is the loudspeaker for our heart. Our heart and our tongue are connected. And what's in our heart comes out through our mouth. And that's what he's talking about. You know, if our hearts are filled with good things, we have great things to say. But sometimes our hearts are filled with things that are not good, like anger and resentment. And then we spew those things. So it's a double-sided thing, our tongue and our mouth. James chapter 3, verses 3 through 6 says this. Now if we put bits in our mouths of horses so that they obey us, we direct their whole bodies. And consider ships. Though very large and driven by fierce winds, they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So, too, though the tongue is a small part of the body, it boasts great things. Consider how small fire sets ablaze a large forest. You see, the tongue is really small. But it talks about a couple things. It talks about how a ship goes through big waves and big winds and all these things that want to toss and turn the ship. But the ship is guided by this little rudder. A horse. You can control the whole body of a horse by the bridle and the bit that sits in its mouth. The tongue is also a big part of your body and your speech. And the thing, though, is we can't control it. There's no way that we will actually be able to say 100% we have full control of our speech. We need God to help us with that. You know, here it talks about a forest fire. It gives that illustration. And if you know anything about fires, they don't usually start by like big, huge explosions that light sides of mountains on fire. It always starts by something very small. And then something very small becomes something so great and so mighty and so powerful. And that's how big forest fires start, is that someone throws a cigarette out or a little tiny firework. Fireworks sometimes that big can destroy homes and destroy whole towns by the fires they create. And that's how the tongue works. Sometimes even the smallest, little, tiniest thing can start a big fire in our lives, can start making something we have to take years and years to make up for the words that we say. I want to do a challenge with you guys today. I have a thing of toothpaste. If you can see, it's Pepsodent. Pepsodent is great toothpaste. And I'm going to give myself a minute to dump out every ounce of this toothpaste that I can. And I'm going to start that in 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see how we did. Well, I can tell you this. That is a very empty bottle of toothpaste. Right here, I have a very big plate of toothpaste. But now I have a second challenge. I want to put all this toothpaste back in this tube of toothpaste. And I'm going to give myself 1 minute to do that. 3, 2, 1, go. Well, how'd we do? By the looks of it, we have a big mess. We didn't put any toothpaste back in this tube. We were not able to put any bit of it back. And what I want you to think about is this. Your words are so easy to just pour out and spew out. It does not take long for you just to start spewing words, but guess what? You can't get your words back. Just like this toothpaste, you can't put the toothpaste back in this tube. Now, James chapter 3, verse 9 says this. With our tongues we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse those who are made in God's likeness. See, the thing about the tongue is because we can't get our words back, we do two things. We either say things we're proud of, things that are good, and we also say things that are hateful and are mean. You know, sometimes we make fun of our siblings or our friends, or we yell at our mom and our dad when we're not happy. And we do that, and we just unload all of these words as quick as we can, because if you notice, it took about 20 seconds to get most of this toothpaste out. It doesn't take long to get your words out, but what you have left is the cleanup. Because if you say things that are hurtful and mean to people, whether you mean to or not, even if it's a little thing, it can lead to a big mess. It can ruin a friendship. It can get you in a lot of trouble with your parents. It can ruin a lot of trust. And that's why it's so important to control our tongues. And how do we control our tongues? We let our hearts be full of Jesus Christ. We let the roots of our lives be rooted in Christ, so that we have patience, so that when we want to say something mean, we have self-control, and we don't do that, because we know that if you say that, it'll be hurtful to that person, and you might lose their trust, or you might get in trouble. We might have a giant mess to clean up. That's why it's so important to control your tongue and your mouth. This little thing right here can get you in so much trouble. And that's why James is writing to Christians about our tongues, is that as disciples of Christ, as believers, we are called to control the things we say and to lift people up and not tear them down with our language. That's called edifying. And we're called to honor our mother and our fathers. And we do that with our language, with the things that we say. We give good words to our moms and our dads. And when we're mad at them, we have to decide, am I going to say something hurtful that I'm going to regret, or am I not going to say anything at all? And that's the challenge, and that's the battle. And that's the battle that's going to be your entire life. But I tell you what, it's so important, because if you can start controlling the things you say when you're mad and just want to spew words, the better relationships you're going to have with your family, your friends, and the more rooted your heart will be in Christ. Because if your heart is rooted in Christ's love, you will be able to resist the temptation to just start spewing hurtful things to people. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope that this week you get a great opportunity to start controlling the things you say. Have a wonderful day. Bye.